What's going on, people, and welcome back to another top 10. Recently did a Barcelona top 10 all time of my favourite players, so I thought it's only right to go with the El Clasico and go with Madrid this time. So top 10 Real Madrid players, my favourite of all time. Let's get into it. At number 10, if he doesn't win the Ballon d'Or this year, it's corrupt. It's definitely corrupt, especially with the year Messi's had. Ronaldo's did okay, but this guy deserves the Ballon d'Or, and it's Karim Benzema. There's a picture circulating at the moment, or has been, where I can't remember all the players. It's Ronaldo, Cruz, and it might have been Bale or Ramos, I think, where they received some individual awards at Madrid when they were all playing, and it's got Benzema in the background, smiling and just clapping them basically, and it was something along the lines saying, basically, enjoy others' success because yours will come in time and stuff. And I loved it because I think he's always been an underrated player anyway. And obviously this year especially, he's even upped it more than people probably would have expected of him. He's obviously the captain of Madrid now as well. But he did a lot of the hard work and stuff and the running off the ball, and he was kind of like the side man to Ronaldo when Ronaldo was there. And he's been there for so long now, and to still be putting up numbers that he does consistently every year, I think is unbelievable. And he still looks hungry when he plays. And for someone as well known as he is, and I don't know what his wages are, but I think a lot of players would struggle to consistently bring that hunger every season. He is a perfect example of a non-Man United player, if you will, at the moment, of wanting to play for your team, having pride in the club you play for, and working your socks off. This guy's in his late 30s now, and he's putting work in off the ball as much as on it, and he's consistently putting numbers up. And obviously he's going on a fantastic run. He's reached the Champions League final this year, and we don't know if he'll win it, but I think just his effort and leading by example as a captain has been phenomenal. And he's obviously learnt through great players like Ronaldo in the past and stuff, and he's took it all on board and he's put it into his game to develop himself even more. So, Karim Benzema, number 10. Number 9, a guy that will go down in Madrid history. A loyal player. He moved right at the end of his career, but he'd been there a majority of his career. And it's Iker Casillas. What a phenomenal keeper. Even from a young age, I remember him playing for Madrid in the Champions League. Very tender age, and performing like he'd been there for years, straight away. So, Casillas, He wasn't even a thought in my mind of not being on this list, even though he's a keeper. A lot of people don't consider keepers on their top 10s for things, but you have to have a good keeper in a decent team to do and win as much as he did. So Casillas in at number 9. If you want someone reliable to save you and pop up in crucial times in games, and pardon the pun, save you at times, he's your man. So Casillas makes a list, and he makes it at number 9. At number 8, another club legend, one that will be fondly remembered, had a great record of his goals, and it's Raul. Not the most probably pleasing on the eye player, Raul, but he was more your kind of like Inzaghi type player, that fox in the box, and he had an incredible record that stood for a long time with his goals, and obviously went on to captain the club as well. And he knows the club inside out, and one that I don't think the fans will ever forget for what he did at the time, and for his longevity there as well. So Raul, number 8. Number 7, Marcelo. This guy won countless titles with Madrid, still there to this day, more of a backup now. You can definitely tell he's like that experienced head in the dressing room for the younger players, and he will offer support, but he can still come on and get about and do a job, can get you a goal as a defender as well. A lot of people consider him the best left-back in history. Personally, I would consider Roberta Carlos that, but Marcelo does come close to it for the numbers he's put up alone. But yeah, a fantastic player. Him on one side for Brazil at one point, and Dani Alves on the other side. Like, what a duo as wing-backs. And yeah, as I said, he's come up in crucial times and got crucial goals as a defender. A great player, one that probably doesn't get spoken about a lot now because he doesn't always start, but one that's still going to this day and offers that experience in the dressing room, as I said, and knows how to win titles and win trophies. So Marcelo, number 7. Number 6, I just mentioned the guy, Roberta Carlos. Made famous for that banana free kick he did against France. One of the greats for me. I remember him just nearly as much as the original Ronaldo, Rivaldo, Ronaldinho. He always comes into that thought process of me when I was younger growing up. Obviously for Real Madrid, this is what this is, but I remember him just as much for Brazil as well. And he's a legend. Obviously, he recently come out as well and played Sunday League football, I remember seeing. So, just a great athlete. The size of his thighs as well. Like, there used to be a thing of this where people would be like, he didn't look human because of the size of his thighs alone. And obviously that helped him in his position, getting forward and backwards all the time. But the technique on his free kicks, he's scored some bangers of free kicks that people still try and emulate to this day, and recreate. So Roberta Carlos, just as much a legend as a lot of other players, your likes of your Ronaldos, the likes of your Rivaldos, Ronaldinhos. Carlos is in that thought process for me, and I hold him in that as high regard as well as them sort of players, because he was one that stood out to me growing up. So Roberta Carlos, number 6. Number 5, another current player, still going to this day, could win another Champions League this year, and it is Luka Modric. That ball he put over for, I can't even remember who scored it now. I don't know if it was Vinicius or I think it might have been Rodrigo. He put a ball over the top of Thiago Silva against Chelsea, outside of his foot, outside the box, curled it over Silva. All he could do was be in no man's land and watch it go over his head, because even if he jumped, he wouldn't have reached it. Just that height enough to where he can't get to it. Picturesque ball to perfection, serving it on a plate for, I think it was Rodrigo who buried it. You can't ask for anything else from a player in midfield, and he still has them moments in him, and yes, he's getting on a bit now, but he's still as clever as ever. I rated him at Tottenham, even though he didn't really win anything there. I think he's one of the best midfielders still to this day, and he has to be in this list. And he won a Ballon d'Or as well that not a lot of people thought he was going to get when he won it. It's not often that you get a player winning it over like a more of an attacking player, because he does sit as well now. He has a bit more of a laid-back role where he sits a bit more now, and even though he can still get in the box. So, for me, Luka Modric, fantastic player. Always rated him, and he's phenomenal, and he has to make this list. Modric, number 5. Number 4, original Ronaldo, R9. This was such a tough list to do. I feel like I'm cheating in putting him 4th and not lower, but you'll see why for some of the players I've put below him, or I hope you do. But the original Ronaldo, he would have had an even better career if it wasn't for certain injuries he had. He had some horrendous injuries that definitely shortened his career and affected it. So that is kind of what factored into this as well, his position, on where I put him at 4th. But he got a standing ovation at Old Trafford, getting a hat-trick against a team at the time that wasn't a weak team in United like they are now. Got a standing ovation from the United crowd. Not many players get that. And that was just one match. He done it countless times for Madrid over the years. Obviously, probably was more of it in his prime at Inter Milan. But he was still, for many years at Madrid, putting numbers up and doing stuff on the ball that was just like, wow. Still had speed. He'd come back numerous times from horrendous injuries, as I said, and still be good and more than your average player, even after horrendous injuries. Obviously, later in his career, he suffered a bit with the weight and stuff, but still at Madrid for a number of years, he was unstoppable. So for me, probably the greatest striker ever for me. I probably would put him as number 1 in terms of a striker. Ronaldo, R9, original, and he comes in at number 4. I can't speak highly enough of him. Number 3, Zinedine Zidane. The guy made football look like it was ballet. He wasn't the quickest, but he had one of the best controls, first touches I've ever seen in a player. I remember the Euro 2004 against England, free kick, penalty, crucial to them. 98 as well against Brazil in the final, again R9, led that France team in that 98 World Cup to the title, and was man of the match in the final as well. He's unbelievable, and he stood up for his country in France a lot of times in international tournaments. That Madrid team, he dominated the midfield. He made it look effortless. He had that lazy looking style about him. That goal he scored in the Champions League final against Bayer Leverkusen on his supposed weaker foot, dropping from such a high height, and he has to wait. The technique, the concentration, the ability, the power he got in that shot as well. It's one of the most iconic goals in Champions League history. What a player he was, and he's gone on to be a brilliant manager as well. Zinedine Zidane, One of the best ever footballers I've ever seen. I'd have him in my top 5 footballers of all time. He was that good. As I said, he made football look like ballet. He would glide across the pitch and he made it look effortless. Like he'd mesmerise you and put you in a sense of hypnosis when he was playing the stuff he would do. Zinedine Zidane, number 3. Number 2, Sergio Ramos. Now, I've put him below the likes of a Ronaldo and a Zidane because he, when I think of him, is Mr. Madrid. He got forced out of Madrid by Madrid to go to PSG, otherwise he'd still be there to this day, and I'd argue that he'd still be starting. Captain, obviously, for them for so many years. Captain from the numerous titles they won in the Champions Leagues. Under Zidane as well, their captain, their leader on the pitch. You can't go on to win as many titles on the bounce like they did in the Champions League and dominate like they did, even with the likes of Ronaldo and Bale, if you don't have the right captain. And Ramos was that guy personified. So that is why I've got him at number 2. I think people underplay the captaincy role at times. Yes, he was a bit rash and he could get the odd red card and you didn't really know if he was going to get sent off. But when he was on it, he'd always be Mr. Consistent, even if he offered that risk of he might get a red card at times. Mr. Madrid, as I said, when I think of Madrid players, he's the one that stands out. You could see how heartbroken he was when he had to leave Madrid, like it was with Messi at Barcelona. The loyalty to them clubs those two players had was unbelievable. And like I said, when I think of, out of all of these players, even though he's not number 1, he's Mr. Madrid when I think of Madrid players. So Sergio Ramos, number 2. Number 1, who else can it be other than Cristiano Ronaldo? The guy went there from Manchester United, dominating at United, winning as much as he did at United, and not many people think he could improve on what he did at United, and he went on to Madrid and improved. Obviously, he's back at United now, and he probably wishes he hadn't come back. Went on to Juventus and did pretty well, even though he didn't really win a whole lot there, but it was still good. But his time at Madrid, I think, was probably his peak. That was him at his best, and he proved people wrong. A lot of people at United thought they were heartbroken when he left, but they thought that they had the best of him. And I think Madrid got better out of him than even United got. Now, that's hard to say because I'm a United fan, and I appreciate the years he did give us. And I'm loving that he's back now, but I do think Madrid saw the best of Ronaldo. And he's got the numbers to back it up. The numerous titles he won there, League and Champions League, Spanish Cups as well. Took on Guardiola almost single-handedly at times and pulled them back and out of getting it above that Barcelona team in the league, which seemed unthinkable at times. And they did it against the likes of an Iniesta, against the likes of a Messi, a Xavi, a Busquets, them type of players. Ronaldo single-handedly at times in games brought them back into games and beat the likes of Barcelona, almost on his own at times. If it weren't for certain goals he scored against Barcelona and just getting them above them in the league, it wouldn't have been possible. We obviously know he's one of the greatest players ever to go down in the history of the game, but if you're talking about Madrid players, I don't see how you can't put him number 1 for what he did for the club. So for me, Cristiano Ronaldo, number 1. That is my top 10 Real Madrid players of all time, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. When I do these, I factor in their players that I've watched growing up. So that's why I haven't got the likes of your Puskas and all them lot on here. Before the 90s, basically, because I was born in 1990. I don't consider players. That's why I won't have for other teams. Like I won't have a Pele for Brazil. I won't have a Maradona for Argentina because I didn't watch them growing up. I've seen clips of them, but I didn't watch them and get to witness them growing up. So that I do factor that into my top 10, guys. If you're wondering why certain players aren't in there, that is why. Because I factor it on who I grew up seeing. But I hope you enjoyed it, guys. Let me know yours in the comments. And remember, before I go, 2,000 subscribers by the 1st of June is the target. I can only do it with your support, guys. So make sure you keep subscribing for all the good football content coming on Ballerism. Get down in the comments. Let me know yours, guys. And I'll speak to you soon.